thank you all for listening in to Calon 105 FM. As I said, it is live, and we actually do have a special guest this week, and that is Ross. Now, of course, Ross is in the local area, and he actually does a program called Snooker with Ross. And obviously, with yourself being a snooker coach, Ross, how about you tell us all a bit about yourself and what you do?
I've just recently qualified to be a snooker coach. Just trying to really do a little bit in the area, get kids playing snooker, getting them to be a bit more involved with it, because say it's a sport I love playing, it's a sport my family love playing. I've got, my dad, my granddad, my son as well. He's trying to play, my cousin. It's just I just want to try and get kids involved a bit more, and because football gets quite a lot of obviously like publicity and funding and stuff, and cricket the same, and rightly so. They're great sports, but snooker's quite massive now with Barry Hearn obviously investing the money and the time that he has. And I just want to try and do a little bit. Obviously, I play to I would say a reasonable level. Others who've seen me play would probably disagree with me, but I just want to kind of get kids playing and adults as well of all ages, really, because it's a fun sport to play.
Fantastic. So what got you into snooker in the first place?
My dad, really, in all honesty. I mean, like most lads, my dad's my hero. So, growing up, I used to go and watch him play and watch my granddads play and that in the local leagues, and sit there at, age 8 and 9 picking balls out for him, and, watching in, dreary clubs filled with smoke, and wonderful for a kid, as you know. But I used to love it. I used to go and I used to beg my dad to take me, and he'd take me there, and I used to peck his head. Can I have a bag of quavers? Can I have a drink and that? And I'd watch him for hours. And then I met obviously my idol Stephen Hendry. So I met him when I was younger, and Dad used to take me to Pontins and stuff, because obviously with it only being down the road. So that's where it kind of started for me, and watching him on the telly.
Nice one. Of course, as yourself being a coach, what's it like doing that then? Because snooker, in my eyes, I've tried it, and you always have that simple shot, that straight shot at the top of the table, thinking it's going to go in here, plan my next shot. The moment I hit that ball, it goes all over the place.
I don't know, really. I mean, it's hard for me. I do find coaching, it's not easy. I mean, obviously, I'm trying to coach my son at the minute, and with family, my dad always used to say he used to struggle coaching me, but because it's your family. So I used to get a lot of coaching from my granddad and from other players. Like there's a lad who I play with, Terry Roberts, who's done quite a bit for helping me at my game. Dave Kelly, a couple of local players, Kerry Jones, who actually won he won the Welsh Amateur and then was runner-up in the World Amateur, and he's from Wrexham, and he's probably the best player to come from round here. Wow. All players who've kind of helped me, and I've kind of watched them play and stuff. So for me, coaching, I just remember the things that they kind of told me and they taught me and things like that, and try to just do that and make it fun, because I think if it's fun, people tend to enjoy it more. If it's boring, it's like in school when you're doing, science or English, and that's nothing to anybody who loves science or English.
You know what I mean. We're gonna have problems now.
Well, you know what I mean.
I'm kidding.
If it's fun and you enjoy it, you tend to get a bit more out of it and concentrate a bit more on it. So that's the way I go with it. I just like to enjoy it and make it fun.
And it's funny because with snooker, it's just like any sport where, especially during the World Championships, I mean, when I watched it last year, I was watching it all 2 weeks of it while trying to finish my uni degree, which was very, very difficult. Wow. But literally just watching it made me want to go to a snooker club and play for a bit. Only lasted for a week, but it's still another sport that many people play, but then they want to start on it.
And that's it, exactly. And that's where it can start from. You've got somebody come see something on the telly and think, wow, how do they do that? And it makes you think, oh, maybe I could do that. And there's nothing to say you can't. People ask me, because I'm not the best player on the planet, I'm not the best player in the area, but I love the game, and also I like to look and see what other people are doing and see like, oh, is that something I could do or something I could show somebody else how to do? And that's really where coaching comes from for me. It's not about me telling you you're doing right, you're doing wrong. It's about me just saying, try this, see if it works. Try that, see if it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I coached somebody a couple of weeks ago, Simon Kimpton, and he plays in the Wrexham League. He's quite a well-known player in this area. He's quite average standard, club standard player like we get. And I found it so difficult coaching him because I didn't want to patronise him. I didn't want to simplify it too much for him because he knows the basics. So that was a new kind of experience for me. Whereas when you're coaching young people who are new to the game and have never played before, you know where to start from. So with him, I had to kind of pitch it at a different level, and that was... And then I had the oddest experience ever. I was in the club with my dad, and he just won his semi-final match, so he got through to the final. And he said, of the over 50s, he'll hate me for saying that, but he is over 50. So, and he said to me, I'm struggling with my break. Anything you can do to help me? And it just blew my head. My head had gone. I was like, whoa, my dad's asking me for advice.
Yeah.
And it's always been the other way around. It's always been me going, Dad, can you help me with this? Or Dad, where am I going wrong? And he'd always say, just do it. Just what you asking me for? You know how to do it. And it was just bizarre that my dad turned around and went, can you help me when we break off? And I helped him, and he it showed him a couple of things that he could try, and it worked. So
that's fantastic. And obviously you're in your polo shirt right now, which is the World Snooker Coach badge on your chest. Now that must be an honour, having that on your polo shirt, representing a great organisation.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first had the idea to do it, and it was off somebody in the area who was coaching as well. Jack Bradford, who's a far better player than I am. He goes to like European events and stuff, and like has nearly qualified a couple of times to get on the tour. And I seen him doing it, and he coached my cousin, and I thought, well, maybe I could do that, give it a go, see if it works. But it is quite costly to do it. But luckily, my family, gave me some money towards for my birthday, because it cost me £200 to get my coaching badge at level 1, and I want to do my level 2, but it's £650, and I'm trying to find local funding. Anybody who'll sponsor me. So if there is anybody out there that wants to sponsor me, give me a call. Feel free, because I just want to do it at the best level I can. And level 2 would help me do that better, so that's the plan.
Nice one. But anyway, Snooker with Ross. You've heard it on Calon FM and on YouTube, so remember, if you want to sponsor him, feel free to go ahead. Great please. Publicity. But obviously, you've met other coaches. I mean, every coach in any sport have their own methods, don't they, for their players or their teams. What did you learn anything from other coaches as well as your dad? Did you take anything on board from other coaches, or would you look at it and think, no, this is my method, this is how I do it?
Yeah, I'm quite thingy with that. I'm not really kind of set in stone as I'll go, I'm doing it this way. There is no right or wrong way with any sport to do stuff, I believe. I run my own team in the Wrexham League, top of the league at the minute, just to drop that in.
Nice one.
But
that's where you should get coaching from.
Believe me, that will probably... I'm not saying we'll finish there, but that's where we are at the minute. But yeah, I kind of run my team like that. I've got players in my team who play open snooker. They like to play attacking snooker, which is the way I think the game should be played. It's people enjoy it. Nobody likes watching as much as it's exciting watching an hour of somebody
safety
play rolling up to a ball. People like to see long shots. That's why Judd Trump's one of the big pulls of the game, and O'Sullivan as well. Yeah. And obviously Hendry. It's players, they play the game in the right way, and that's how I try and coach. I'm like, if somebody wants to go for a shot, my dad never discouraged me to go for my shots, but he always said, try and make sure it's the right shot. And if you believe it's the right shot, then nobody can argue with that. Obviously, it might not be, you might lose, but at least be brave enough to kind of have a go at it. And, and that's the way I kind of coach. So obviously, we were talking before the show that you've been to some of the events and you've been invited to do some coaching. And of course, Q School's it's growing because we see it advertised on the BBC during the matches. So what's that like? Well, I mean, QZone, sorry, I can't speak. QZone kind of started at the Worlds was the main one. So obviously in the Winter Gardens. And every year me and my dad and my brother would go, and the first day we'd generally go over to QZone and spend the whole day there, and then the evening and the second day we'd have the tickets to go and see the show, like the snooker. So we'd go to QZone, and I used to make a habit of making sure I got on the table. And one year I got on the table when they were filming it live. Oh, brilliant! And I got to play with one of the female snooker players, Rhiannon Evans. Yeah. And Tatiana, I think her name is. And I got to do some shots on there, and I got some coaching off Steve Davis and Andrew Highfield, who ironically did my coaching course.
Oh, right.
And it was fantastic. And I got to play on a star table, which until recently I would never have done. But now we've got about 3 or 4 of them in the Wrexham area.
Brilliant.
For people who've kind of funded them themselves. And there's another coach, Lee Gordon, who coaches up in near Oswestry. And his son plays for my team, Daniel Gordon, and he's one hell of a talented snooker player. He's fantastic. His cue action is what I try and coach for other people, because it's just so the same thing over and over again. So he does the same routine no matter what shot he's playing. And in any sport, routine it builds to success.
Yeah.
So it's like Ronaldo in football will stand the same way taking a free kick. He will, do everything the same so that the result ultimately 9 times out of 10 is the same. And that's kind of where I got the interest to do it from, because obviously those who can't do teach. So
have you ever gone up to because obviously I've seen a few photos of you with Mark Selby and a few other stars. Have you ever kind of gone up to them and go, you're missing a little trick there on that safety shot in that last match?
Yeah, and they've all just told me to sit down and keep quiet. But yeah, I mean we have quite a lot of players in the area, thanks to Lee in Oswestry. He does loads for the league, like bringing professionals in, because he's Ricky Walden's manager. So he like obviously Mark Allen, we had him last year. Martin Gould, who I told you earlier had a 147 against my dad, which again he'll hate me for saying. But I mean that was amazing. We've had Stephen Hendry, and it's all stuff that's funded by players like myself and other players in the league, paying money, for the league to keep the leagues running. I was saying earlier to one of the lads that we used to have 4 leagues when I started playing, and we're lucky to get 1 at the minute because people are not getting involved with snooker. It doesn't get the publicity all the time, the right publicity. It used to get that look of going to a dingy snooker hall and being filled with smoke and alcohol and cigarettes and that kind of thing. It's not that anymore.
No.
I mean, the problem we have around here, and it's a big bugbear of mine, is that when you go to Leeds, Gloucester, where I did my course, Preston, you've got all these snooker clubs, and they're really top of the range. Like Gloucester, you've got the Northern Snooker Centre at Leeds, and they hold pro-amateur events, which a few of us go to. And it's fantastic. I mean, and the tables are amazing. I mean, and the problem you've got in this area is that there's nothing like that.
No.
We've got Riley's in Chester, and no disrespect to Riley's. I mean, I enter like Welsh qualifying events, and we play at Riley's, and the tables are just shocking for some of the players that are going there. Like Matt Roberts, Alex Taubman, these are players that are trying to qualify for Q School. Yeah. And they're playing on those tables. I mean, it's just, we need something up here because we haven't got a Northern Snooker Centre in Wales.
No, I was going to say.
And we should have.
I was going to say, because you can't think of one at all, can you?
No, there isn't one. I mean, you got one in Llanelli. There's a couple, obviously, around Preston way, which is only an hour away. But
just so that some of the listeners get a better understanding of the situation, just how much can a table affect how a snooker player is able to perform?
Massively. I mean, it's not just the snooker table; it's the balls that you're playing with as well. Because obviously, a lot of clubs now will have basic sets of snooker balls, whereas like we're lucky in our club in Overton that we've got Crystal Light snooker balls, which are 1G. They're amazing. They're so light. And there's no obviously chips in them or anything. I mean, you see on the telly that those players are playing in perfect snooker conditions, and they still get kicks. They still get. And my dad is forever saying, like, somebody gets a kick on the telly, you want to come play on a Tuesday night in one of the local clubs. And it's not one club; it's the majority of clubs are like that. And it's not just in Wrexham. You go anywhere to any league, and clubs are like that. It's because there's no investment, there's no people coming through throwing money at it. It's literally self-funded. Like, if we want, new snooker balls, we have to ask the committee to go and buy them. Yeah. And the committee don't always have the funds there to do it. So it is hard, it is difficult, but ultimately people just enjoy the game, and it's a great game to play. So I want to just get anybody involved, and I would encourage anybody at any level just to pick up a cue and have a go at it.
Yeah.
Because I tell you now, honestly, you will get hooked on it. Unless you're my wife, of course, who cannot stand the game. She turns around all the time and it's always on the telly. I'm trying to get my little girl into it as well.
Oh,
She's mesmerised by it. She'll just sit and watch it because of all the colours and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my wife currently hates me at the moment for that. So, but, yeah.
You heard it here. Obviously, just quickly mention, as you mentioned, the publicity with snooker. I completely agree, because I remember 2 years ago when it was the Welsh Open, and Ronnie O'Sullivan obviously went for 146 instead of a 147.
Yeah.
And that was the news story throughout the whole week of the tournament. And that's the problem. The only stories that we see in the paper is Ronnie O'Sullivan or whoever wins the World Championship.
I mean, and that was a little bit naughty in a sense of fans pay money and good money, you know, they're not cheap tickets. They are expensive, but people like to go. And for some people, like the guy who goes to Sheffield every year for 2 weeks, you know, that's what their year focuses around. You know, we all go to work. Everyone hates work. I don't care what you're doing, you know, unless you're a professional sportsman or an actor or something. Or everybody has days where they're like, oh, work's hard, or, you know, we all have that. So when we get those moments where you go to see your idols and you go to see people, you want that moment of, like, I got to see someone have a 147 against my dad. I got to see Stephen Hendry have a 147 in his last game at the Crucible. You know, we were there for that. I mean, they're moments you can never pay for.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like obviously, like Phil Taylor in the darts has just retired. People who had those tickets, you want to see a show. You want to see somebody put on, like obviously Joshua in the boxing at the weekend. You pay money to see events like that. So for me, professionals doing that is a bit naughty, because they're paid to do that. It's your job at the end of the day. If I go into work tomorrow and I go, do you know what, I'm not going to take a call today in my job at Demon Tweaks, you know, there we go. You know, I'll be sent with my P45. But it's their job. That's what you do. They're there to entertain people. But I agree, obviously, you know, they should earn money for doing stuff like that. But locally, it's definitely an issue with funding, and the publicity it gets can be quite negative, because parents, rightly so, don't always want to encourage their kids to do snooker. And this is what the coaching course is looking at doing. They're fantastic in the big areas like Leeds, London, Manchester, in taking snooker into schools. And that's eventually what I would like to do, is to take it to a school and say, come, you know, get 10, 12 kids to come to the club, and they can play on a full-size table and they can have a go at it. And it's not about setting 15 reds and 6 colours up. It's little games. You can do like, they do a 60-second challenge where you've got 5 reds on the table and you've got 60 seconds to pot as many as you can. Or you can do a snooker relay where you've got 15 reds on the table, and there's two tables, and you're racing against each other to pot as many. And we did all this on our coaching course, and it was dead fun. I mean, we're adults running around the snooker table, out of breath. You know, I'm not the fittest person ever, and it was fantastic. We had a right laugh, and it was 5-10 minutes of where you can get 12 people all playing snooker at the same time, because it can be difficult. It's one-on-one. So if you can get 12 people doing it, fantastic. You've got 12 people playing a great sport.
I mean, my message to Usain Bolt is, as you say, the moment, I paid quite a bit to go and see Usain Bolt's final 100-metre race, and he lost. Anyway, we will have a music break. Ross, how can people find out about your course then?
I've got a Facebook page, obviously Snooker with Ross. I've got an Instagram page, again the same. Don't ask me how I run it. My wife does it all for me. But yeah, I mean, even just contact me on Facebook, contact me on Instagram, drop me a message if you've got my number, and I'm more than happy to speak to anybody of any age, ability, anyone who wants to start in the snooker league. The lad Stephen Thompson, who I coach, and he played his first match in the league the other week after only having a couple of lessons. All right, he didn't win, but he said to me, he thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's another person playing snooker. So,
and enjoying the experience as well. No, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Ross. That was really good.